And you're good to go?
Yep.
Excellent. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Talk to Danielle podcast. I am your host, Danielle C. Baker. And before we get started on today's topic, be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to whichever channel you're listening or watching from. And of course, this is new for season two. This episode is brought to you by the self-esteem doctor, the wonderful Dr. Simone Alicia there's this great online platform. They call it the Self-Esteem Doctor Academy. So if you want to, develop that self-confidence, that confidence, self boosting your children and even adults as well. She is wonderful. She has great programs. So she'll work with teens, she'll work with younger children, and she works with adults as well to work on that self-esteem, that confidence. And she does amazing work. So I will add the link to her academy, online academy, with this episode. Make sure to check that out. And today I have an amazing guest, and I know I say this often, but I absolutely love Claudette. We have Claudette Cain Coulas with us today, and I hope I pronounced that one right, Claudette.
Yes, that's fine.
She
Claudette is fine.
Okay, good. She is an amazing woman, and I will let her introduce herself because she has quite the story, and I wanted to share that with everybody today. So thank you so much, Claudette, for joining me today.
Well, Danielle, thanks for thinking of me and inviting me. I've been watching you and following you, and you're doing some amazing work. So bravo to you, and thank you again for inviting me. But my story is not all that different than many of women. I was the oldest of 7 children, and I was married, believe it or not, at 17 years old.
Oh,
Nobody
wow.
told me don't do this. I was married for 40 years. My husband passed, and then 11 years ago, I remarried. And in between, throughout my life, I'd had several health issues, not the least of which was 3 episodes of mental illness. And that was in my 20s. So, but I bounced back. I wrote a book, and I've had 4 successful careers. So I did 20 years in municipal politics. That's where the rubber hits the road, right? It affects everything. So I loved. That was my dream job. I've owned 3 private companies, 2 retail and 1 communications. I was on the bench for the Ontario Court of Justice for 17 years. And I did a 3-year thing, I call it a gig, in the media. It was so much fun because I was always on this side of the mic. And then all of a sudden, I'm on the other side of the mic, and I'm on television. I had my own radio program, my own television program, and I wrote a column for the Ottawa Sun all at the same time. And that, I have to say, was so much fun. I was scared to death at first, but I like yakking and talking with people, and it was a great time. Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. And I've learned some new stuff about you today because I knew about the politics and I knew about some of the businesses, but I didn't know about all that. That's amazing. And that's what I love having you on, because you have that fire. And like you said, in politics, you have to have that fire, especially as a woman. Yeah, exactly. And I'd like to elaborate on that. And it doesn't just go for politics, because we know women in politics already have challenges that nobody will necessarily talk about, but any women in a leadership position often faces roadblocks that you wouldn't think we would. But can you kind of share with your experiences what some of those challenges are that women are facing, either in politics or in any position of leadership that nobody is talking about?
Yeah, we don't like to admit it, but reality is we're still living in a man's world. And we have to recognize that and not let it stunt our growth, if you will, not let it get in the way of our goals and our hopes and dreams. We just got to get on and do our thing and prepare. But people need people, and women need the support of other women. And sometimes it's challenging to get women on board with you and believe that what you're trying to do is authentic and it's real and it really can help people. And what that support can do for us is help us become the best version of ourselves and help us realize that we can reach our goals. And then I think the third challenge is, I call it taking care of self-confidence, self-esteem, self-love, self-care. They all impact our lives, and they all impact what we want to accomplish. And we tend to have it all together when we're helping others, right? It does something to our mindset, to our psyche. So if we're self-confident and we're looking after our body and our mind emotionally, physically, spiritually, then we're equipped to help others, and the challenges become much less. And we can apply those self-care components to any section of our lives whatsoever, and it will just help us in the long run. Yeah.
Right.
So we got challenges, but I used to be 6 feet tall, and now I'm 4 feet tall, and I'm still going.
I love that. Yeah, and you're right. We kind of neglect ourselves, I think, when we're in that position where we just want to help everybody, but we forget that we need to take that breath once in a while. So I think it's important to mention that it's okay to take that time to tune in and make sure everything is in order. Yeah. So that's good. Yeah. Now, you mentioned your book earlier, and helping out others. Was there was there a defining moment where you knew that you wanted to help others by sharing your experiences?
Yeah. Well, our stories can sometimes resonate with people, and that's the hope, that your story will even help one person. And for me, I was in public office, and so I learned very quickly that helping others with their day-to-day affairs and issues was very important, and it made a difference in people's lives and people's families. And so I worked hard at delivering the best service I could, and there have been many opportunities for me to help others by sharing some of my stories and some of my experiences. And I've tried to recognize those opportunities and take advantage of them and try to help. Either with one-on-one coaching, speaking, or even when I was in the media, you can help. Even if you're acting the fool on television, talking with people, you can help. Humor does a lot of good things. Laughing does a lot of good things. Nothing better than belly laughs, right? But all those careers that I've had, I've interacted with people, and my realization of the need to help people progressed with each of my careers. I was on the bench for 17 years, and when my colleagues would talk about people that were appearing before them had mental illness, and they didn't understand it, they didn't know about it. And what did Claudette have to do? Zip it up, because there's such a stigma about mental illness that it's awful. Like my episodes, and I've called them episodes, they were downright breakdown, mental breakdowns, and that was back in the 70s. So you really didn't talk about it in the 70s. But all through my political career, I did mention it once, and that was a precautionary measure so that my opponent wouldn't try and use it in a negative way. Instead, I gave an interview that was positive, and I received positive comments from people who were diagnosed clinically depressed and who said that the article helped them. So that was the only time I ever mentioned it. So, and I wouldn't dare mention it when I was on the bench. But I retired from the bench for the one and only reason to be able to tell my story, particularly about mental health, and let people know that they're not alone. You don't have to die from being depressed. There's help out there, there's support out there, and there's a lot of people who care. And so if anyone, has blue days, black days, reach out. It's hard. It's really hard I compared it to my body being in quicksand and my hands trying and trying to get out of that quicksand before my head got in it. And that's how difficult it can be for people. And when you hear about the suicide rates, and just on the news last night there about people around the world who have committed suicide because someone had the bright idea to encourage people to commit suicide. I mean, it breaks my heart. So there have been many defining moments, but when I decided on December 31st, 2019, that was it, the world was going to know that I had been sick, really sick, and I was still able to have 4 successful careers. Hopefully that will help people.
That's incredible. And you're right. It's still something that people are afraid to talk about. I think conversations are starting now, but it's still not enough for somebody who goes through it. You really feel alone. You feel like you're the only one. And you question yourself, like, what's wrong with me? You're not looking at all the outside factors. But yeah, I like that analogy of the quicksand, because it's
an awful feeling, Danielle.
It's an awful feeling. Yeah.
It's very scary.
Yeah. Can you share with us a little bit what the warning signs that could tell us that we should be focusing on our mental health before we get to a breakdown?
Yeah. Well, I can only speak of my experience. I'm not a doctor, but over these past 40, 50 years, it's 50 years now, actually, since I was sick. You pick up, I can't put MD behind my name. I can't put psychiatrist behind my name, but I can tell you if I'm in a room for a bunch of people, I can spot the persons who are depressed. It's not hard, and particularly when I was in court, I could tell when someone was ill or just having sad days, and confused about what was going on in the justice system around them. So I would just stop the proceedings and I would just talk to that person and look straight in their eye and let them know that there was somebody who understood here what they were going through. Right. That's the worst thing. Like, you think, even though when I was sick, I looked like this. I looked quite normal. Well, if you think I'm normal looking now, but
you are.
But inside, I was crying, I was bleeding, I was hurting, but I'd still walk on the street and nobody would know the difference. My face was the same. It wasn't filled with pimples or sores or Band-Aids or anything like that. But, and so the first time I had no idea what was going on. Like, I was 23, 24 years old.
Yeah.
I was 23. So I had no idea what was happening. I didn't know if I had brain damage or if I was, what was going on. So I was very scared. And I recall some of the things that I did was I detached. I detached from friends and isolated myself. I didn't want to get out of the house. And after a while, I didn't want to get out of bed. I just wanted to put the covers over my head and stay there and let nobody bother me. I didn't want to look after my personal hygiene. I didn't want any self-care plan, was out of the question. And I now I can identify it, but then I didn't. I was mindless eating.
Oh.
So, like I'd eat stuff I don't even like, just for something to do because I thought, well, if people see me, I'm doing something normal, I'm eating, they'll think I'm just fine. But those are some of the things that happened to me. And three times, like I said, three times before the age of 25. And some of the warning signs that things were getting off the rails was I call it the over syndrome, overreacting, overeating, overworking, and just shuffling paper, not accomplishing anything here at that age.
Okay.
I was so young. I'd hide from people, and I did, or at least people thought I was multitasking.
Okay.
But many of us, women especially, we multitask every day.
Exactly.
But we've got to watch ourselves with that because burnout happens, resentment happens, and we say, "Whoa, stop the train! I want to get off." And if we're cognizant enough to say that and to do that and to get off the train, then there's less chance of the depression becoming clinical. And I used to have a lot of pity parties. That's what happens, right? You think that nobody cares, nobody loves you, nobody knows what you're going through, and they don't. They don't. But that's not their fault. We just have to continue to realize, to raise awareness of mental health issues, and realize that we're not alone. We're not alone. So there's a lot of warning signs, and isolation is a big one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Isolate from people.
Yeah. We all have our days where we don't really want to talk to people, but at that level, it's like you said, you just want to crawl in an area. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Once it becomes critical, yeah.
It's hard to get out of that. Yeah. No, yeah. And it's okay to seek help. I think that's right. The message that needs to be out there is, you're not alone, and definitely seek help. There's people that can help you through that. So I think that's wonderful. I work with children mostly, so I always like to turn this into, there's so many things that we are not taught as children that when we go through hardships later on, that we kind of float through it and try to survive, and then think, I wish I would have known this sooner. Is there anything that you think should be taught at an early age to be able to help younger kids face these challenges and recognize these signs before they get to a point of no return?
Yeah, there's certainly, and I look at it as an opportunity for us as adults, for parents. And I think the first thing I would say is, when you're talking to a child, don't be standing up. Get down to the child's level, sit on the floor if that's what the child is, kneel on your knees. Just don't become someone looking down on a child. Right away, that will have a negative impact on the child, and more than likely they won't even they won't even care what you're saying. But we have a lot of important things we can say to children, and I guess the first one is to let them know that they are enough. They don't have to be rock stars. They don't have to go to the moon. Whatever it is they want to do right today is okay. It's enough. They don't have to try and prove their worth to anyone. And I guess the other thing is let them know through your actions, through your words, through your teachings, that they matter. Children's views, children's chatter matters. And they might come out with something, they say the words out of the babes of a child and they make you laugh. Yeah, they make you laugh, but listen to the story that behind it.
That's right.
And so they need to know that what they are saying and what they care about and what they value are all very, very important. And we've got to let them know that they can be anything they want to be, and they can do anything they want to do. And I somewhere in my book I write that, and I use women because it's in my book, but it's about women, but it can apply to a child, to a man, a woman. Is that a person who falls off a cliff and who has got their wits about them builds an airplane on the way down.
Oh, wow.
They don't fall on their heads. So we've got to let children know that they can do that too, and let them know that you're there and I'm there for them to ask for help. There's nothing wrong with asking for help, whether you're a child, a mom, a dad, a grandma, a grandpa, a professional CEO. You can ask for help. It's okay. And I think that's something very critical to let them know, because otherwise what happens? They put their hands behind their back or heads down, and they don't respond to you. They don't relate to you at all if you don't let them know that they can ask a question or they can give their views to see if they're on the right track. And the last thing I'm going to say is that they can learn from others, and they should emulate their heroes. Share what they've learned. I like Harry Potter. So what did you learn about Harry Potter? And
I like that.
And you learn something and you emulate. I had a mentor for 20 years, and she's the late mayor of Mississauga, the one and only Hazel McCallion, who died at 101.
Wow.
And whatever she did, whatever she told me, I did. And I even say it in my book, I'm not apologizing. I copied as much from her as I could.
Yeah.
And why? Because my residents were the beneficiaries of that. Mississauga was a really well-run city. And I'd like to think so was Gloucester. And it's not just because of me, but it's because of people like Hazel McCallion, who was a pioneer in so many ways. And I just followed her lead. And children should be taught not to intimidate them, but you talk to kids and they love Barbie, or they love Taylor Swift, or they love grandma or grandpa, and they should learn. They can learn a lot of stuff, and they should try and emulate them, copy them, and that will help them throughout their lives.
That is great, especially if the children just love to play pretend. So it's just take out the best traits of somebody and make it your own. I like that.
Yeah, put really on the Superman cape and do your thing. Yeah.
That's right. And adults should do the same. We should have a
that's right. We could learn from that for sure.
That's right. Sometimes we just need to lighten up a little bit. So that's good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's great. And it's something that's important to learn early so they're not struggling as much later on. So I appreciate you sharing that with us. Is there something, I'm going to put you on the spot for this one, but is there anything, because you shared so much and I've already learned some about you that I didn't know about already, but is there anything that you like to share that no one really knows about you? It could be something completely off topic, a hobby you like or something, a talent that you have that nobody knows?
No. As I mentioned at the beginning, I was the oldest of seven.
Mhm.
And my parents had a restaurant in Pembroke at, at first and
Yeah.
then in Ottawa. And so I was responsible for helping them with their breakfasts, making their lunches,
Yeah.
getting them ready for bed, getting their clothes. So I was like in a caretaker role all my life.
Mhm.
And sometimes that can be good and sometimes it can be bad, right? You get codependent.
Exactly.
You think you can solve everybody else's problems. And I found
Mhm.
myself in that situation more than once. And
Mhm.
now I can sit back and not try and take over the world. And but what happened was my dad passed away, and my mom came and lived with us.
Mm.
Built her an apartment in our house, and I became her little girl.
Oh,
I was no longer the caretaker. I was no longer the one who helped make lunches and clothes washing and all of that. I would come
right.
home from work and my mom would be waiting for me with a
Oh,
cup of
wow.
tea and a piece of cake. And she'd say, Do you want me to rub your back, honey? You know,
Oh,
how was your
oh,
day
that's
today?
amazing.
It is a privilege and an honor that I got to
Yeah.
receive, that otherwise, I'd still be the caretaker of the world and trying to solve everybody else's problems. And here
Yeah.
she was looking after me. And I'd bring her with me to all these public events that I'd go to, and I was so proud to
Mhm.
show my mom, and she was so proud of me. It was like a mutual admiration society. But that's what was really nice, that I could become her little girl again instead of the oldest. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I
Let people
love
know
that.
about that.
What a beautiful gift, though, for both of you, both your
Yes,
mother and
yes.
yourself. Wow, that is beautiful. Oh,
People say, "Oh, well, you're strong, and you can
mhm.
get through things." But what a lot of people don't realize, that strong women, strong people still need a hug once in a while.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
a pat on
Yeah.
the back, and just some empathy from people. But
Mhm.
I'm a hugger, and sometimes I'm waiting, like, is anyone going to hug me here? you know,
But you can't really just yell it out. There's somebody hug me.
yeah, you can't always do that.
Oh, that's amazing. I love that story. That gave me goosebumps, actually. It's really nice. I'm gonna throw it back with some because we mentioned about what do you think children should learn earlier, but is there any advice that you wish you would have had sooner, just to make things easier for you?
Yeah. I think first, most important, or one of the most important, was to check in frequently with yourself to make sure that you're doing um, things in your career, in your personal
Mhm.
relationships, in your family, your friends, even strangers, that you're helping others. There's nothing that makes you feel better and develops your attitude of gratitude
Mhm.
than helping others. And it helps your integrity stay in check. So that's one of the most important pieces of advice I can give, is don't just go through life assuming that I'm helping people, and you don't once in a while pause the train and look around you, and is what I'm doing still relevant that I did 5 years ago? Are there
Right.
different needs? Are there more needs? Is the coworker over here who's getting trained and going bananas because they don't understand everything that you do about the job? Have I helped that person? that wasn't on my list 5 years ago because I wasn't doing that kind of thing. So I think that's
Yeah.
when it's very important to keep a check on how you're helping. And one of them you mentioned a while ago about taking yourself too seriously. I've got a short little story if we have time, but I used
Of
to take
course.
myself pretty seriously. Like, yeah, I'm only 4 feet nothing, but I was the mayor and I thought, that's pretty good. And I thought, if I left Gloucester, we got a cottage. So, but I thought if I left Gloucester for a weekend, the place would fall apart without me. And I thought, like, I just can't go. And my assistant was saying, Claudette, just go and relax, go and have fun. Yeah. So the first time I went, I brought my briefcase and my laptop and everything I could possibly think I might need on that weekend. And it wasn't too long that I wasn't even opening my laptop. Good. I didn't even look at my briefcase. And then after a while, I just left it in the car.
Nice.
I didn't even open it. And you know what? Nothing happened to Gloucester. What the hell's going on here? And then I wouldn't even put my stuff in the car. Friday night, I'm out of here, man. And Gloucester was fine. It lived for 150 years. It did very well without me. Thank you very much. And but that's taking yourself very seriously. And so what got me rid of that was when I left politics and I went into the media. And here I am on my own television show and my own radio show. People can put you in their place pretty quick and make you realize that I'm not such a high mucky muck that I thought I was here. And they can make you laugh and help you make fun of yourself. And I learned to do that, to make fun of myself when I had that 3-year gig in the media. It was fantastic. And so that's really another piece of advice is don't take yourself too seriously. There's only one God and it's not me.
Yeah.
You know? And there's only one judge and it's not me. So, take a little bit off your shoulders of that high mucky muck stuff and we'll be fine.
Yeah.
And I think people have to dare to dream, dare to take risks and take chances and then go for it. You don't need to know how it's going to happen. You just know it's going to happen and things will progress. We say progress rather than perfection. And unless we dare to first start dreaming it and put it in our mindset, believing in yourself is magical. It's really magical. So you got to start with that and you got to be passionate. If you don't have fire in your belly about what you want to do, go away. It's not going to work. You got to love what you're doing. And even when I go do the groceries, and the cashier doesn't say hi, doesn't even look at you, like, you don't like your job, quit it. That's my philosophy. Do what you like to do in life because life is so short. And do what matters to you and that it matters to others. And then I guess the last piece of advice is you better have a good self-care routine. Because if you're not healthy, if you're not peaceful, if you're not serene, if you're not calm, then you're not going to help anybody else. I learned that the hard way. And if we're humble and we count our blessings on a daily basis, then we'll be in a position to be able to help others. Otherwise, it'll be a miss and a fluke here and there. But when you really want to help somebody, when you really want to make a difference, you have to have those things in place. So that's my advice.
Those are great. I'm taking notes. I love that one where it's like, just do it, get it done, have a dream,
Yeah.
have a passion about it. And I love that. And that's actually, Jerry had gotten that in my head in his own way to say, get it done and then get it right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Just do it. If that's the fire you have in your belly, just belt it out and get it done, and you'll get
Yeah.
it right later. And
That's
I love
right.
that.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
it took the pressure off a little bit. Just like,
It sure
yeah,
does.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing. Now, what are you working on now? What's
Oh,
new? What's coming up? Is there anything
well,
new coming up for you?
I'm public speaking when the opportunity arises. I do one-on-one coaching with individuals, and I don't take a whole lot of people on because um, number one, I don't have the time, and number two, um, the more people you have, the less time you have to spend with them, and I don't want to do
Yeah.
that. I want to give you my full attention, and it's the coaching I do is mostly on careers,
Mhm.
on leadership, on how to get yourself elected, um, and how to live your best life. That's in a nutshell what I spend my time doing. I've been doing some radio work on the Sam LaPrade show and having fun with that again. And
Yeah.
I like to I like to stir the pot a little bit and
Yeah. Of
maybe
course.
it's fun.
You have to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's another way of not taking yourself too seriously, right?
That's right.
Getting the belly laughs and so on. The other thing I'm doing is spending a lot of time with my grandkids, which is the best job in the world. Best
Oh,
job in the world. And I have something that I'm doing with my book. I don't know if I've shown you.
I was gonna ask you about that
Yeah, there.
actually. It was,
Ladies,
yeah.
take your place. And it's leave your mark professionally, politically, and personally. And it retails for $32 plus shipping and handling plus tax. But what I've done is the proceeds of my book are going to the Royal Ottawa. Why? For mental health, right? Mental health
Right.
research, because I can relate so much to it. And the Royal does amazing, amazing work. And so the books that I have left have all been sold. They've been
Mm.
sold by generous people who have purchased maybe 100 books here and 200 books there. And they didn't want all those books. They just wanted to support my cause to help the Royal, right? So what I've done with those books that have already been sold is I'm offering the book and tax and shipping and handling for $20. And the
Oh,
proceeds will go to the Royal. And along with that, a free 30-minute coaching call, just to just to find out where they're at. Or maybe somebody has a specific question about how to get elected, or what does it mean to be, how do you get to be a CEO? And, whatever
mm-hmm.
question they might have. It would give me pleasure to talk with somebody for 30 minutes about whatever it is that's on their mind. And so that's what I'm doing. $20, and they just need to email me at ladiestakeyourplace at gmail.com and
Okay.
Send me any transfer, and the book is gone, and the Royal is the benefactors of those.
Oh, amazing.
So that's what I've been doing, and people are enjoying it.
That's great. And I will add that email address so that anybody who's interested can contact you. I'll add that to the description in the comments so they can reach you. I think that's amazing. And that is a very generous gift to be able to give back like that is amazing.
Well, I've been blessed. So
Yeah.
it's time to give back. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's nice. I asked this question. I didn't get a chance to explain it to you, but this is a question that a little girl had asked me when she was doing interviews for a school project. And she kept asking this one question, but the adults weren't giving her the answers, she would get frustrated, and her mom was saying, "Just stop asking." And she's like, "No, somebody's gonna get it." So she asked me, and I answered right away. And she turned around and her mom, and she goes, "See, I told you somebody would get it." So I promised her. I told her I love that question so much for adults that I promised her I would ask everybody I interview. So this is the question: is what would you like to be when you grow up?
Oh, well, when I was 12 or 13, I wanted to be a nun.
Oh wow!
And leave it to Claudette when I said emulate your heroes and emulate, people.
Oh,
Well, I had a whole nun's habit.
are you serious?
Yeah, I had an aunt who was a nun, and she gave me all this stuff. And my mom bought me those, we used to call them nun shoes. They
Yes.
black with the heel and the laces
Yeah.
and all that. And I had a veil and a skirt. And I
Wow.
used to walk down the street dressed up as a nun. I thought I was smart, yeah. But anyway, so that was my first wanting to be when I grow up.
Yeah.
And now, if I was truly honest, there's only two things I want to do is I want to be the best grandma possible, and I want to help anyone be the best version of themselves. They can make a dramatic difference in their life and in the lives of others. And that's what I'm hoping to that I'm doing with the work that I do, is help others make a difference in their life and a dramatic difference in others' lives. They don't have to be a nun.
No. No, that's amazing. I just love that question because it gives so many different
Yes.
answers. It just
Yeah.
opens up everything. So I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Now, how can people reach you? You mentioned your email already, and I will add that to the description. But how can we reach you, follow you, and see what you're
Well, I'm on
all
Facebook,
about?
of course, under
Facebook. Okay.
my name, and then Cain Coulas Communications.
Okay.
And the ladies take your place. And I'd be honored actually to send my book to anyone who wants it. And
Yeah.
as long as they just remember that what they're doing is helping further the awareness of mental health and help with the research. There's still so much. There's not enough money to go around, right? And the government, they have worked wonders. Because when I was a little girl, you drove by the Royal Ottawa Hospital, you didn't look at it. It
That's
was
right.
a hush hush. But today it is a multifaceted hospital with inpatients and outpatients and courses and research. We're so lucky, so blessed to have it in Ottawa, in the nation's capital, but their catchment area is much larger. And so we're blessed that it exists.
Mm-hmm. And yes, and supporting that allows to help even more people to get out of that. Yeah. That's wonderful. I'll be sure to put all that information in the description. Thank you so much, Claudette. I could talk to you all day, honestly.
Me too.
We just keep going, but we do have to go. But thank you again, and
Thank you.
definitely we'll pass the word out there for your book. And anybody who knows, if it's not yourself experiencing it personally, but if you know somebody who's struggling, or a child or anything, they definitely, there's so much that you could do to help
Reach
that.
out. Reach out and give that your hand, the olive branch, just to make them feel. And it doesn't have to be a child. It can be an adult.
It could be an adult as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And just to let them feel heard or not feel alone. And so absolutely. Thank you again very much.
It was so much fun. It was fun talking with you, Danielle, and you're doing amazing work with children. And I can only say kudos to you, and I wish you only good things in your future.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's a whole other world, but it's a fun world for me. It's wonderful. Thank you so for everybody who is watching or listening. Be sure to follow Claudette. Make sure you get that book to not only help yourself, but to help so many other people in the process. And until, don't forget again, still like, follow, and subscribe. And until next time, stay safe, stay awesome, and we'll talk soon.
Yes.